It is Monday, the 25th of January 2021, and I've kind of slipped out of the routine of doing these videos at weekends, particularly on a Saturday. I do want to get back into doing that. I've been tending to record videos when I've got something to say, something on my mind, which is not every day. There's certain days where I have no words to express how I'm feeling about the world, but there are other days where I have some stuff that I want to impart. So today was one of those days, but I'll try and get back in weekend routine in due course. So in terms of where things are at right now, as I've mentioned before, doing what I do, being in the position I'm in, I get exposed to a whole load of viewpoints and pundits, predictions and opinions and speculations. As I mentioned in the last video, pundit A will say black is black, pundit B will say black is white, and pundit C will say it's a shade of grey somewhere in the middle. And yet every one of them will insist that they're the one who's got it correct and you can ignore all the others. And so in recent days, I've been told that the whole Q situation was one massive psyop, that the idea that Donald Trump was doing any good work on the part of mankind and was working to dismantle the deep state cabal was like an infantile fairy tale, and you've got to be incredibly naive to believe any of it. So I've had people putting that viewpoint on me, telling me I shouldn't ever have given it any time or consideration. I've got the exact polar opposite of that, which is people saying, no, the plan is still intact. The inauguration that took place last week was all part of the movie that we're living in. It's all illusory. And they will say, look at pictures of who we are having presented to us these days as Joe Biden. And this is a fair point because I've done a Google image search using the phrase younger Joe Biden. So if you just put Joe Biden into a Google image search, you get many, many pictures of the old guy that we're all familiar with that we saw being inaugurated last week, which was a fake inauguration, by the way. We'll get on to that. But if you type in younger Joe Biden, you get some very interesting results. If you, in particular, study the Joe Biden that was around in 2008 and put him side by side with the one we've got today, they are clearly two different people. So it would appear that the individual passing himself off as Joe Biden today is not the original Joe Biden. That's something that can be verified just by simply using your eyes. So the inauguration last week, we hear, was fake and didn't stand for anything because the corporation of the United States, as that nation was and has been since 1871, was dissolved via an executive order put into place by Donald Trump. And what we now have, as of a few weeks ago, is a new constitutional republic of the United States, which is an entirely different entity to the corporation which was answerable to the crown that was in place previously. So we hear that Donald Trump is going to resume the presidency of this new republic, and the date that's been touted for that is the 4th of March. Again, it's just opinion, it's just speculation at this stage until it becomes reality. And I keep hearing the suggestion that we're living in a movie and it's all for show and it's all designed to cause people to wake up to truth. That's why it's being done to us. But it really doesn't do any good, us being involved in this movie, unless the truth of the matter does get revealed and unless people are forced to confront what is really happening. And the only way that's going to happen is if somehow the mainstream media is either dismantled or overruled, because as long as they continue in their present state, they're just going to continue to spread poison and lies and venom as they do. So as for whether we can still place any hope in something coming out of the United States, which is going to improve the situation of everyone, and specifically those of us here in the UK, I'm working on the basis that we can no longer assume that anything is going to happen there. And I think that's a pretty good standpoint to take. We have to assume, we have to consider that we are on our own. We always have been, actually. And it's down to us, collectively, the people, to put down the tyranny and the evil and the darkness that we're all facing at the hands of, here in the UK, Jack Boot Johnson and his communist government that are now taking away rights and freedoms by the day. And anyone that still thinks this is about a virus and them keeping us safe, I would say they're beyond all hope and redemption, because it's so clear what is going on here. A communist stronghold being unloaded by the day. So if something should come out of the United States the new republic of, in the days or weeks to come, which turns out to be beneficial to people of other nations as well as those in America, we can consider it a happy bonus. That's the way we have to look at it. It's a bonus. It's the cherry on top of the cake. Other than that, we, the people, need to have been doing all that we can to take back our power. It's on us. The emphasis is on us. It always has been. Nothing's changed in that situation. I'm working on that basis now. I've seen and heard enough of pundits telling you this is going to happen, promising that's going to happen, guaranteeing that this situation is going to emerge. Until it does, I'm working on the basis that it's not to be trusted. And like I say, that works for me, because if something comes along and it's good and it proves that I was wrong not to have faith and not to have trust and not to believe what many of these pundits have been saying, I'll be only too happy to put my hands up and say I judged it wrong. As I've said before, I want to be in a position to say that I judged it wrong. But until then, it's down to us to put down what we're facing. And in the UK, we're having the drum banged continually about vaccines every time you look at a newspaper. If you're unfortunate enough to read the headlines of one, or unfortunate enough to be in the vicinity of a TV news broadcast, all you're hearing is vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. Is being presented as the only solution, the only way out of this pandemic, scamdemic situation. And we keep hearing all this conflicting information about new strains of the virus coming in from Brazil, coming in from South Africa, and the daily death rate, the R rate, has gone down, but at the same time the new strain is said to be more deadly. And the government is now talking about possibly not opening schools up until after the Easter holidays. Some reports are saying not until May. And a sneaky piece of legislation that was put in under the radar just recently, it's been revealed, involves the government giving local authorities, local councils, the power, or the illusory power, because it's not real power, the right, again, illusory rights, to continue lockdown restrictions all the way to the 17th of July. That's 6 months from now. So we've had it implied over the weeks that if we all stick to the rules and all do what you're told and control the spread of the virus and stay at home and distance and wear masks, as Johnson has told us, that was my Boris Johnson, by the way, for anyone that didn't realise. If we all do that, then by the spring, then maybe things can start to ease off and some of these restrictions can be lifted. But now we're hearing it's being pushed further and further. I've heard suggestions of April, then May, and now July. So just imagine the nightmare of still being in this situation in July. How much of our lives would have been wasted? How much of our rights, how many of our freedoms would have been taken away by that point? In straight tyranny for absolutely no reason, because it's all based on provable lies. We cannot accept that. We cannot let that happen. We have to be doing something collectively. It's ridiculous that we can't seem to organise ourselves and unite and all get on the same page like our enemy does, and provide some pushback and some resistance to what's being done to us. The numbers are absurd, as we well know. A small percentage, some say 1%, controlling the 99%. Something has to give here. So on that note, I was delighted to hear of an initiative taking place this coming weekend, Saturday, 30th of January, which is being dubbed the Great Reopening. And this is exactly the sort of thing we need. This is exactly what so many people have said needs to take place. Massive non-compliance with the tyranny. So the idea is that small businesses all over the land, particularly pubs, restaurants, cafes, things of that nature, just stick two fingers up at the regulations and say, we're not doing it, we're opening all together, standing in unity. What can you do about it? Just imagine if thousands, hundreds of thousands of businesses all on the same day decided to do that, standing in unity with each other, in defiance of our oppression, and if they were supported, very importantly, by the public. Just imagine the impact of that. Now, this has already happened in Italy to a large extent. Restaurants have reopened in that country and people have gone out and happily supported those businesses that have decided to open in defiance of government regulations. I hear the same things happened in Poland. This is Britain's opportunity to provide some pushback. So I really hope as many small businesses as possible will come together and exploit the opportunities of this great initiative happening on Saturday. And I hope also that members of the public will support those brave business owners that do decide to open up. I'll certainly be providing my patronage to any bars or restaurants or cafes that I can find open on Saturday. I believe there are discussions going ahead on Telegram, which is probably the most safe way of communicating this information online. You certainly don't want to be talking about it on Facebook for obvious reasons, but there are chat groups going ahead on Telegram to provide information, and I really hope people can locate businesses close to them that are prepared to take part in this initiative, and hopefully this will be the first of many. I really don't want to find myself this time next week reporting on what a damp squib and what a huge nothing burger, what a massive letdown the whole thing was. I really hope that by this stage in the game, so many small business owners have decided that their backs are so against the wall that they actually have nothing to lose by opening up and trying their fortunes on this one particular day. So let's all make this happen. The great reopening is exactly what so many people have said needs to happen. So now it's happening. Let's support it. Something else I want to mention is that my good friend Gloria Moss, who was behind the Questioning History conference that I mentioned a few videos back, this took place just before Christmas in East Sussex. It was a wonderful gathering. There were various speakers over the weekend talking about different aspects of history and questioning whether we've been given the whole story or whether we've been sold a bill of goods. And the overwhelming response was that, yes, we've been lied to. Why would that even be a surprise? Now, Gloria has put together a different event along the same lines as this one, due to take place in July of this year. It's happening at a venue near Northampton, and this one, rather than being Questioning History, is titled Questioning Science, which is very topical in the times in which we live. We're getting all kinds of flawed information and bad science sold to us by authority sources. So Gloria's idea is to have a whole bunch of speakers again and a whole load of like-minded people coming together. And this is the main value of these events, as far as I'm concerned, the opportunity to network and socialize with like-minded people and realize that you're not alone. Many, many people see the world the same way that you do, i.e. with sanity and common sense. And it can really help us just to know that there are other people out there that are maybe feeling ostracized by their family, cut off from their friends, finding themselves just losing their mind in the madness that is British society now. So we have the opportunity at these events, there aren't many of them, to come together and just help each other out, reassure each other, support each other, and listen to some empowering information. So Questioning Science is due to take place from the 16th to the 18th of July at a venue near Northampton. As I say, it's taking place over a weekend, Friday to Sunday. Speakers lined up for that so far include my good friend John Hamer, very prodigious author, and he's got a book out at the moment called The Falsification of Science. He's going to be going into many aspects of that. We've got Gloria Moss herself, Eve Gilmore, Julie Cronshaw, Jamie W., Judy Rosher, and myself. And I'm going to be doing a talk on mind control through sound frequencies, which is about as far as I go into the world of science. So at this stage, there's still full information and tickets to be loaded up onto the website of Learning Holidays, which is Gloria's company. But at this stage, for anyone who's interested in taking part in that weekend, you can drop an email to learningholidays@protonmail.com to register your interest. I'll put the email in the show notes below. It is early days on that, but it's something to look forward to, and we all need that. There's not much this year that we can put in the diary and anticipate happening, but there's one for you. July, still 6 months off. There's talk of lockdown restrictions being stretched out all the way until then, but we're taking a chance on it, taking a punt on that weekend being allowed to happen, as the Questioning History one was just before Christmas. Also, Questioning History 2021, by the way, is due to take place in December of this year as well. Gloria wants to repeat the event, which was very successful and very beneficial for everyone that attended last month. That's going to be happening again in December 2021, so keep an eye out for that. So this is my standpoint in terms of what we're facing right now. I'm assuming that this dynamic has never really changed. We ourselves have to get ourselves out of this situation that we find ourselves in, and any ways that we can find to unite and stand together and provide pushback, such as through the Great Reopening initiative, are to be taken. Anything else that comes along in the background and is beneficial to us, particularly in the United States, can be considered a happy bonus. That is my standpoint right now. That is the one that works for me, and I think that's a pretty sensible and sober viewpoint for anyone to take. And as I say, I would love to be jumping on a video in future weeks with incredible things having happened on the other side of the Atlantic that impact on other nations, and be able to tell you that I should have had more faith and I should have trusted that stuff was going on. If I find myself in that situation with proofs and evidence to verify that it's taking place, I will be only too happy to make a video of that nature. I really hope to be doing that in the coming weeks. But if I'm not, then it's plan B, which is really plan A. It always has been, which is we're not dead yet. And there are many of us who would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. It's always been that way.